Right. So yesterday we did completing the square. So let's practice one of these right now. Okay, where's my pen? So everyone should be able to do this completing the square. X squared plus, let's go, let's make it an easy one. Okay. Now, I want you to write in to the chat, don't press enter yet, what number is going to go in here? Okay? What number are you going to place in there? Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, press enter. Let's see if we get the number that's supposed to go in there. Good. Only 2 people. It's less of a waterfall, more of a trickle right now. No? So we took that middle term, right? We divided by 2, then we squared it to get 25. Good. And to not change everything, we're going to add 25 and minus 25. Okay? And we'll separate these two out. Now, we're going to factor this and simplify this. So that's minus 21. And if we take this factor over here, just so we remember how to factor, right? 2 things that multiply to make x squared is x and x. Now we're looking for numbers that multiply to make 25. Since we know we're making a 25, we're going to take the square root of this number, which is also this number, right? And put pluses between those two. And because they're the same thing, we can write it like this. Okay? Perfect. So that's what we did yesterday. So we're just going to add another little layer onto this. Okay? Not a difficult layer, but another layer. How do we feel about completing the square out of 10? Can you guys write in chat how you feel? How did homework go? How did checking all that go with you? Good? Good? Good. So, this time, we are going to do, I'll switch colors every time so we kind of see as you look back in notes. Now, can you tell me what the difference is between my 2 original equations right now? What's the difference between these 2 equations? Can someone write in chat or tell me what the difference is between those 2? Good. The numbers won't add up to that. Yes, it's not a perfect square, you're right. But also, there's a 2 in front of my x squared. Okay? We want to get rid of that 2. It's not, I'll show you an example after. If it's a perfect square, we can work with it. Like if we can square root this number here, we can work with it. But we can't take the square root of 2, right? Because if you remember how we made this number here, it's the square root of this, which is x, and the square root of this, which is 5. This times 2 equals our middle number, right? X times 5 times 2 equals 10x, which equals this. We can't take the square root of 2. So we need to get rid of it. Yes, Kaylee? Okay, back to class. Oh, drink water or hold your breath? As long as you can. Hold your breath again. Alright, so what we need to do is we need to factor out this 2. But we're only going to factor it out of the very first part here. Okay? So I'm going to take the 2 out. So I can divide this by 2 and this by 2. I'm not going to touch this. We don't really worry about that. Okay? So this here is going to be x squared. This is going to be plus 6x. And we're just going to leave this guy out here. Do we understand what I just did? If we take a peek at that, how I factored out the 2. Good. Therefore, I have a number in front of my x that I can take the square root of, right? Because there's a 1 there. I can take the square root of that. Oh, Ben, I thought you were just really excited. I went, yes. Now, we do the exact same thing we did before. Okay? We're going to complete this square. So what numbers am I going to put in here? What number am I going to put in these two spots? Christopher says 9. Do I have anyone else who wants to say anything? 9, good. Because I'm going to go 6 divided by 2 equals 3. And I like to make a box around that 3. Then 3 squared equals 9. Therefore, I'm going to go 9 and 9. And I'm going to make one a plus and one a minus. Good. Now, which one of these do I not need? Or which one of these do I need? Do I need the plus or the minus in my bracket here? If I want to rewrite this of something I'm going to take the perfect square of, do I want the plus or minus in there? Keep the plus in, so I got to get rid of the negative 9. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of the negative 9. But when it comes out of the bracket, I have to multiply it by this 2. Okay? So when it comes out of the bracket, I have to multiply it by whatever number's in front of the bracket. Before, we didn't have anything in front of the bracket. So when we multiply, just multiply by 1. Okay? But when it comes out, we need to multiply it by 2. So that's going to become negative 18. Because we went negative 9 times 2. Okay? Do we see that one? Do you understand how I got that negative 18? Can I see a yes or no? Or a potato, if we are totally lost? Why divide 6 by 2?
So all you do is like you bring the 2 from the front and then multiply by the
correct. Whatever number's in front here, right? Whatever number we factored out, because we factored it out, right? We factored it out of the brackets. We factored that 2 out of the brackets. So anything coming, who's leaving the brackets needs to be multiplied by 2, right? No, it's negative 9 times 2. It's not negative 9 squared. Okay? Ben, I was just showing how we make that 9 that we got there, right? Because the perfect square, if we remember from yesterday, we have x squared plus 6x plus 9, right? The way we find this number here is it's the square root of this number, which is 1, times 2 times what number makes this. Okay? And that number is always this number here divided by 2. Okay? So 1 times 2 times 3 equals 9, and that's a perfect square. Just like this one, to make this number here, we got 10 divided by 2 times 5. Right? 10 divided by 2 equals 5, sorry, and then 5 squared equals that number. So to find whatever number you're going to put in there, you divide this term by 2 and then square it. Does that make sense? Okay. So now we're at the exact same position we've been at before. Right? We're just going to leave this 2 out in front. And then, the reason I made a square around this, because when we factor this, that number, the middle term divided by 2, which was 3, is actually the number that's going to go in here. And that's going to be minus 19 at the end. Because if we were to factor this, x squared plus 6x plus 9, this would factor out to x plus 3 and x plus 3. But we just put it together with the square. How do we feel about that one right now? Okay, so let's take a look at this one here. Let's go, negative 4x squared plus 8x plus 9. Okay? Let's get rid of this negative 4. Okay? So we're only going to factor it out of the first two terms. So we're going to take negative 4 out, which is going to leave us as x squared. Divide this by negative 4, divide this by negative 4, minus 2x. And we're not going to worry about this 9. We're just going to put him over there. Okay? Now, once we do that, we're going to fill in these two parts here. Don't type it in chat right now. I want you to think about it for 10 seconds and see if you can figure out what number I'm going to put there. Okay. No, my audio has turned off. Okay, Chris. Oh, I guess you can't hear me. All right. So press enter now if you think you know your answer. So we're going to take the middle term. We're going to take the middle term here, which is negative 2, and we're going to divide it by 2, which equals negative 1. So I'm going to put a square around that. Then we take that number and we square it. So this is the number here that's going to go in to these spots here. Plus 1 and negative 1. Okay? We had to divide it by 2 first, which got us negative 1. Right? Negative 1 squared is 1. So we're going to put 1 in here, but 1's going to be positive and 1's going to be negative. Therefore, we haven't changed the equation at all. Okay? Then, once we do that, we only need this part. Remember? We only need this part. So we're going to get rid of this guy. But as that one comes out, what do we need to do to it? What do we need to do to that negative 1 as it comes out of the bracket? Good. Multiply it by negative 4. Okay. So if I were to do my next line, negative 4 bracket x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 9 plus 4. Then let's going to go plus 13. What's going to be my factor here? It's going to be x, and what number is going to go in here? Okay, it's negative 1. Remember how I squared this one here? This number here that I get after I divide it by 2 is going to be the number that goes in here. And if you look here, if that sign is negative, this sign is also going to be negative. Good. Oops. Actually, I'll leave that highlighted. Oops. Where's my note I was looking at? That's good. Okay. We'll do one more example here. A little bit. I'm not sure. I'm getting some stuff in the chat. Yeah. You might have to log out, like leave the meeting, then come back real quick. That might fix it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So one last one here. I'll do this back in. Let's go back to black. So y equals negative a half x squared plus 6x plus 5. Okay. I'm going to give you guys maybe a minute, and I want to see if you can get to the next line. Okay? I want to see if you can get the next line done. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see what my line was. So I'm kind of trying to match. I want to see if you can get to this matching line here. Okay? The one thing I will tell you, I'll do this. Let's say I had half x plus 4. Okay? If I were to take that half out, it's actually going to look like this, because if I divide by a half, I actually multiply by 2. So if you got your calculator out, and I found a really sweet calculator I can show you stuff on now. Look at that bad boy. If I went 8 divided by 0.5, 16. Okay? I'm so happy I found that calculator. Morning, Fiona. I can go over this once we're done. We're almost done the lecture part. So I can go over it again with you and go over it again with anyone that isn't understanding what we're doing. So take a shot in your piece of paper and see if you can get to that next line for me. Oops. So I do my attendance real quick. Okay, so your almost bang on. You just forgot to put the 5 outside the bracket, Ben. So I'm going to take the negative, and your sign might be wrong. So I'm going to take my negative half out, okay? So that'll leave me with x squared. You're right, it's going to be 12, but since we took a negative out, everything in here is going to change signs. So that's going to be negative 12x. Okay? Then I'm going to leave my plus 5 on the outside of my bracket, since I don't need it to complete my square. Okay? But really good. So how many, give me a thumbs up or down if we're able to get that as my next line in chat. Thumbs up, I got it. Maybe a halfway up would be a, I didn't get it, but I understand it. Good. Good. All right. So now we need to fill in those numbers to make our perfect square. What are those numbers going to be in there? So we take the middle term. Can I see it in chat before I write down the steps? So I take the middle term, I divide it by 2. You forgot to square it, Ben. Make sure you square it. And it gives me negative 6. Right? I'm going to put a box around that because I'll use that later. Then I take negative 6 and I square it, which equals 36. Almost there. Plus 36 minus 36. You have to complete the square, right? You're a little bit off, I think. Oh, no. I'll take a look at it. Yeah, I think you're good, Tej. So now, we have this line here, but we don't need that negative. So let's get rid of it. So it's got to come out. But as it comes out, it needs to be multiplied by this value up here, which is negative a half. So my next line is going to look like this. A negative times a negative is a positive, and half of 36 is 18. And to finish off my last line, so I combine these two terms, make that. I'm going to make my perfect square here. So when I factor that, what am I getting? So I need two numbers that multiply the 36. Now we know them, since we made it perfect. They're both 6. And whatever sign this is, that's what's going to go between here. They're both negatives. Therefore, since they're both the same, we can write them as such. Okay? So that is the lesson for today. Let me look at your homework. Just make sure I've touched on everything I need to. Tuesday's homework. So there are 4 or 5 questions here. So there's 2 here with whole numbers in front. There's 2 with negative, or 1 with a decimal place, and 1 with negative. Same thing. You're going to take the negative 0.02 out. So you're going to divide this by 0.02. That's going to might give you an ugly answer. Now this one here, yep. This one here, you're going to have to complete the square. Okay? But your maximum profit let's go through that real quick. I'm going to make up an equation here. Okay, let's just make one up that says like y equals negative 4 x plus 40, x minus 40 plus 2000. And let's say, for example, this was the question that had this equation. Who should I make famous right now? Let's go. What kind of music should Trinity play or perform? Rap. All right. Alright. So let's say that's the question. Let's say she's a good artist. Let's add some zeros here. Okay. So Trinity's a hardcore rap artist. She's holding a concert. What should she price her tickets to make max profit? If x-axis is the price of the ticket and y is profit. Okay? So can someone tell me the vertex of this first? What's the vertex of this parabola? What's the vertex of this equation? If we think back to y equals a bracket x minus h. Can someone tell me what our vertex is for this? Have I lost everybody? Good. So the vertex is 40, comma, 2 million. So the question here is, what's the best price that she can sell her ticket for? Right? This here x-axis, right, is the price of the ticket. Right? So $40 price. And then the y-axis is our profit. If you remember, our points come in x, comma, y. So she'd have 2 million profit. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, no, currently sleeping. Alright, here, let's do our first attendance check and see who's with me. And then you guys can go on to your homework for this morning. And the homework has like 4 or 5 questions along this line. Okay? Then Fiona, or anyone else who is still a little bit confused, we can go over a couple other examples once we do this. No, you already responded to this one. Everyone else had. You did it right when I posted it. You popped on it right this morning. Oh my god. Yes. He's in the chat. I don't know if he's physically here. He hasn't responded to my attendance.
I can't open it, so I can't. There's nothing like. Ever since people were putting it in the last thing that happened here is something that
Okay. Can you use what's on the screen? Yeah. Tanner, why'd you do attendance twice? Let me take a peek at it. Take a look.
in the practice where it says like after negative
In the question or the answers? Let me look. Answers. No. 2a. No.
Yeah.
Because what's negative 2 divided by 2? No, you got to take out the 2 first. Right? Okay, go back to our notes here. We took the the coefficient out first, then we did the plus and minus. Do you guys want to come back at 10:30 or 10:45? 10:45? Okay. Oh, thank you. Stop recording.